Hey there, I'm Phoebe from the Lift Perspective. I'm a white-skinned, very short, reddy brownie-haired human in a black t-shirt, sitting against a black and white checked pillow with a cream vertical blind and cream wall behind. Sitting here in my Endurious paid for assistive technology bed, finally. And bed goes up, bed goes down, bed goes up. A little story before we start today's consumer client forum. Oh yes, so I'm here in my bedroom on Unsuited Meanwhile and Nebuland, bringing you Mental Health Month Musings 30. These pocket notes on person-centered care. But before we go there, I want to have just a really shortish chat on something that many people don't know about, and it's called saneism. Saneism is the equivalent in the disability sector to ableism, and it's the idea that when those of us that have significant challenges, whether we call those mental health challenges, mental illness, mental ill health, complex trauma, depending on what frame you use, those of us who don't easily keep up with the world, when we're expected to keep up with the world, we're being expected to keep up with a world that has no concept of how inequitable it is for people to look at us and go, well, we can do this, why can't you? You can do it because you don't know what the challenges are that those of us who are in the lived experience space know very well. So I've had to make some very difficult decisions this evening. I've had to say no to two things that usually give me life, and even in consecutive order, if they had both happened this evening, would have probably given me life. And one of them, unfortunately, has meant that I've had to withdraw from a very beautiful project that I successfully auditioned for at the start of this year, because I can't keep up. I was at the Mental Health Services Conference all day yesterday as a speaker. Was up at 4 a.m. to be driven by my NDIS driver to Sydney, to turn around and come back. And on the way home, I decided to not zoom in to a meeting, as another meeting that I had for another thing, because I was so exhausted. Collapsed into bed last night. Got up this morning and worked for 4 or 5 hours, but ended up being about 6 hours on the preview of a project with Rebus Theatre that I'm on the creative production team for. There's only 4 of us. So, but, again, it was massive. Watching my scripts come to life, realising how many people are going to be looking at it. Watching a preview audience engaging with the interactive theatre model for the very first time. It was massive. And I thought, okay, I've got to go home, and I've got this project that I have rehearsals for tonight, and then I'm catching up with someone that I haven't seen for a very, very long time that I've been looking forward to. And got home to find that my assistive technology bed has finally been delivered without the headboard. That was in the original quote. And so I had to ring the plan manager, and I had to ring people that have told me that they're going to set up meetings about working for me as a psychosocial recovery coach, and then can't even be bothered to return the phone calls. And I was an exhausted mess. I was in tears. This is what it takes for lived experience advocates. This is the world we live in. We live in a world where exhaustion plus intersectional challenges means that the things we love are sometimes the things we need to miss out on. And it's not okay, but it's where we're at, and it's why we do the work that we do. But I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible lived experience colleagues that I have. acknowledge the incredible amount of work that it takes sometimes just to show up, especially in very, very public places I had not considered, and am learning the hard and fast way that for me to be doing these much more public profile gigs that often involve a lot of people in very enclosed spaces is a little too much. And I need to pace myself. I can't back to back have 2 days like I've just had. I just can't keep up. But unfortunately, there are other parts of my life where people are like, well, if you don't show up to this thing, you can't be part of it. And that's where I have to make the hard choices. So I want to acknowledge all of you out there, many in the reform sector that I have so much respect for, and say to those of you that don't understand, Mental Health Month or Madness Month is batshit crazy. The world suddenly wants to do everything in October, and it's too much sometimes. So with that in mind, here is our clinician, consumer forum scenario for today. Person-centered care is not about, total mind blank, your opinion on my self-management strategies. Here we go, clinician. So, look, you're here in hospital, and I know I'm hearing that there's been all of these really, really overwhelming things that have brought you here. Why don't you just take a holiday? What do you mean? Well, all of this stuff, it sounds to me like you need to take some time and find yourself. Maybe, see if you can go on leave for 6 months and, just go somewhere nice and quiet and, just really reflect on, who you want to be and what you want to do. What about my kids? Well, you said you split up from your husband. Maybe he can look after them for a while. Okay, what about my job? I'm a contract worker. If I don't work, I don't have an income. Oh, surely you've got friends and family that can help you, and give you, some support over the next 6 months. What about my studies? I'm about halfway through a semester and I've got 3 different subjects. Yeah, this is why you're so overwhelmed. I think you should defer your studies. What about my friendship groups? I'd really just, that for me is really meaningful, that I'd like to stick around and just, even, oh yeah, no, you could do that. Just, spend 6 months going out and having coffee and going to restaurants, and how am I supposed to do that without an income? Oh, I know you can make it work. And see, person-centered care is not about your opinion on my self-management style. If you could step in, say stop at any point in that scenario and step in and play the role of the clinician, how would you shift the narrative? Just moving my dinner away from my curious cat. Catch you on the flip side.